Okay. Okay, we're live.
Alrighty. We are here with Kory Watkins, and I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself. So Kory, go on ahead.
So my name's Kory Watkins, obviously. I'm a libertarian running for governor here in Texas. I am very involved in my party. I've been involved as a libertarian pretty heavily for probably about 3-4 years now. I've been voting libertarian ever since I've started voting. So I'm chairman here in my county, Hunt County in Texas. I serve on the state executive committee, the senatorial district 2, and I'm just trying to spread the message every way I can. And the Libertarian Party is one of those ways. I believe the party fits my message the best. If you read the platform and you really look into the Libertarian Party, you can see that it has a bold message of freedom. And so that's kind of why I chose that party to work the message that I preach through that party. So I've been an activist since about 2011, 2012. Just through the open carry of gun movement, the police accountability movement, cop watching, First Amendment, standing up just for anything in the area. And getting involved in the community and doing things like that. Now, what got me all into being an activist and all this was back in about 2011, 2012. I was, studying things about why our federal government was so harsh on cannabis. And I ran across some people who told me to look into Ron Paul because he was running for president at the time. And so I started looking into him, and of course the rest is pretty much history. I fell down this huge rabbit hole of seeking more answers and finding more knowledge about how far we are actually behind when it comes to true freedom, and actually how most of the things that we've been taught on the TV or in the public schools is mostly not true. And so I fell down this deep rabbit hole, and I just thought, man, if I'm living in this life, how can I live each day knowing that I'm this far behind and not doing anything about it? So that's why I do what I do, and I just don't know what else to do. I just keep doing it. So now I've kind of turned to bigger and better things. I'm running for governor of Texas. I am involved in this cannabis open carry walk movement that has started to hit the streets here in Texas. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And I'm glad you guys asked me for an interview. And let me just say, the other night was crazy. We had a town hall and the after party. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't remember. And if I did, it would have been wild to try to interview that night. So I do apologize. I apologize immensely for missing the interviews. But I'm glad we're here now, and I appreciate the interview. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for straightening everything out. So yeah, I wanted to ask you actually. I guess before we start talking about the, what you're, talking about just now about the open carry, the cannabis freedom walks and all that, I wanted to ask you about, because you were talking about going down a rabbit hole, when you, first introduced to Ron Paul and then, kind of going down that rabbit hole. What was the biggest revelation for you that, like something that you thought was true, and then as you went down that rabbit hole, like you said, that kind of just completely blew your mind or destroyed what you had thought previously?
Well, the thing that really just was mind-blowing is when I started looking into and researching the events that happened on 9/11. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I think or whatever. I don't know what happened that day, but what I do know is that our government lies a lot, and I don't trust them. And if they're capable of lying about those events and maybe what happened that day and things aren't lining up, it's just scary to kind of think of what else could happen. So the events of stuff like that and how our government the main problem for many of these events that are happening like that. And so that's kind of what's woken my mind up and made me realize that the CIA and these things that are behind the scenes taking place are they are mind blowing, and it's crazy to think that if they're doing those things, what else are they doing? You know, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I know for me, when I learned that all these different government agencies, you know, like for example, the Department of Education has a SWAT team.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why did they need a SWAT team?
Yeah, it's like, really?
For the kids, they need to protect the kids.
Yeah, for the kid. Yeah, with their big, scary, and awesome armor, right? And all the guns and all that. They just point right in their face for no reason. It's like,
yeah, it's not necessary at all.
Yeah, it isn't. So you're talking about 9/11. You know, is there anything about, you know, and I don't, and like you said, I don't want to get into all the, you know, 9/11 truth, all the conspiracy theories, whatever. But is there something about that day that just really kind of irks you? That they're obviously not telling us the whole story. I mean, I think we can agree on that. I mean,
right. I think if you just look at basic physics and some of those things that don't add up, it's pretty simple to see that, you know, the story that we were given is not 100% true. And that to me in itself is just mind blowing. And if you look at other things that happen all the time, some of the stuff that's called conspiracy theory is actually truth. Like some people thought conspiracy theory that our government was going down in the 50s to Guatemala and shooting people up with syphilis, and kind of as an experiment. And that's actually fact documented now. They came out and admitted to it and apologized for it, but nobody cares. But if you were to tell somebody that, they probably wouldn't believe you. But it's fact. I mean, the government admitted to it. So. And they're doing stuff like that all the time. You know, I say that we are a rat in a cage. They're doing experiments and stuff on us and keeping track of us and seeing how our medical ways react to certain things that they put in certain places. So we are a rat in a cage.
yeah, we're just kind of talking about the FISA memo, you know, that whole thing that's been in the news lately.
Yeah, what do you think about what's going on with that and how it was released and the information that we got out of that?
Now, what was it? I didn't hear it.
The FISA memo, you know, with Trump and, you know, possible collusion and all that stuff, the 4-page memo that had come out.
It's fine.
Shoot, I haven't watched TV or anything in about 2 weeks. I'm going to be honest. I've been networking with people and the campaign and building the cannabis carry thing. So I'm just going to have to say I hadn't even heard Trump's take or what was said on that.
Well, yeah, well, whenever you get time, you should definitely look into it because, you know, kind of like how you were saying and how I also believe too that the government is just, you know, they're a bunch of bullshitters and
right.
they just, you know, they constantly lie and there's, you know, you don't know who to trust and all that. And I think this is just another piece of the puzzle of, oh yeah, our government is not out to, you know, for the best interest of the people. It's basically what I see when I look at it. So, you know, but yeah, whenever you get a chance to look at it, it's definitely something that I think you'd be interested in looking at. I'm sure when you look at, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I definitely will. I definitely will.
Yeah. So now let's go ahead and talk about what you're doing with the cannabis walk and all that stuff. What made you decide that you wanted to do this, and not just because you wanted to legalize marijuana, which I'm totally for as well. Even though we don't personally smoke, we still think if that's what you want to do, you know, who's us to say you shouldn't do that just because we don't personally do it.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, it's a personal choice, and a lot of people tend to think right away when we talk about legalizing or decriminalizing or deregulating cannabis that we're talking about smoking, but that is actually a very, very small percentage of what this plant is about. I mean, this plant can literally change the world. That's no exaggeration. And there's many things it can do for our economy, our world, people's lives, medicine, infrastructure, all kinds of things. So this plant is very important to this world, and I like to fight for things and take issues. I don't like to do it all at once, like 10 or 12 things. I'd like to try to focus on one or two things, and I did a lot of work with the open carry of gun movement. I did a lot of work with the police accountability movement. And so I've kind of turned my focus to this. I think the time right now is very right for more cannabis freedom here in Texas. I've seen the last couple legislations where we've had a really good push and a really good amount of support here in Texas, but it just seems like we haven't got that extra push that we needed. And I believe this movement, from experience, doing it with the open carry of guns movement, what I've seen from experience, this works. When people hit the streets and you see people standing on street corners expressing their love for their cause, that speaks very high volumes. I mean, that means people are sick and tired of it, and they have got off their TV, they have sacrificed time, and this is what they want to do. And that sends a very bold message of hey, I'm doing this. I'm taking time out of my life to stand on this street corner and express my concerns. And this is the very beginning of it. This is a buildup. So we are foreseeing the future and putting everything in place to get where we need to go. Now, the buildup is everybody in the streets, educating people and handing out this flyer right here. And we have other flyers as well that, weed maps. We've teamed up with Weed Maps, and they've been out on the walks with we've been out there with their gear. So businesses are teaming up with us. Facebook groups and pages are teaming up with us. Doctors, Clean Leaf Pharmaceuticals. So, I mean, anti-establishment.com, all kinds of PP Radio, Mile High 10 Radio from Colorado. People really want this to happen here in Texas. So now is the time, and we're hitting the streets. We just did an event in Arlington, one in Greenville yesterday, Houston the day before that. This started out as just a kind of an idea within a small group of people. We wanted the first event to be in Houston, and the event went viral. We had over 500,000 people view the page, and that brought in a lot of people to build a very good concrete structure for this movement. And in less than 3 weeks, we have about 50 organizers in 30 different areas across Texas organizing and trying to build events and pass out these flyers and get people engaged. And this phone number right here on this, that's my cell phone number, and my phone has been blowing up. Literally, it's called the Cannabis Carry Hotline now. That's all I do is answer calls and text messages, but it's awesome. This movement is blowing up, and I've seen how people responded to the open carry of guns movement, and there was a lot of love and support. But the love and the support for cannabis, literally, I mean, at some point today, horns on the cars were just nonstop. It was literally a horn fest. I mean, it was crazy. And when somebody honks their horn for something, that means they're overwhelmingly probably supporting that cause. You know what I'm saying? Think about how many people didn't honk their horn but probably still supported it. So I mean, it's crazy. So, but that's what it is. And if people want to find out more, they can go to the Cannabis Open Carry Walk page on Facebook and join the groups and look at the events tabs and the groups tab and just get involved. So that's what it's about. It's a family friendly event. Everything that we do is lawful. We're good energy out there. We're not trying to get people arrested. It's a very educational event, and we've teamed up with other people to get this done. And the excitement is through the roof. People are ready for this in Texas. It is time.
Yeah, we've seen videos of the events there and all over the place, and it just seems like it's a great time. And we're definitely planning on going in Dallas.
That's next week, right?
Yeah, this Saturday in Dallas, and then we also have one in San Antonio and Nacogdoches on the same day, and then Tyler the next day. But yes, this Saturday in Dallas.
Yeah,
We'll be there.
we're definitely planning on going.
Awesome, awesome, guys. I will be there as well.
Sweet. So I wanted to ask you, I guess, sort of play devil's advocate about marijuana, because obviously there are states who have legalized it, through legislation and all that, and voting for it, and obviously the other states who haven't. So one of the big worries for people who do want to legalize it, but they have questions in terms of, kind of with alcohol and how much they tax the shit out of it, and with marijuana, I would pretty much see you as, if you did become governor and it did become legal, what would the tax situation be? Because let's face it, there's no way to get around it, and
They're gonna try to tax it.
as of right now. So what would your main thing in terms of, kind of, maybe not necessarily obviously overlooking that, but what would your plan be on doing on something like that?
Okay, if I'm not the governor of Texas, I'm just me. And we have something like that come through where cannabis is legalized and we have to pay taxes. Hey, at least people aren't being locked in a cage for it no more.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a semi-win. However, if I am governor of Texas and a bill was presented to me and it had some taxes on it, I would try to find a way to make the legislator go back and present it to me in a way that we weren't stealing money from people. I believe that if people want to go out and purchase cannabis, they shouldn't have to pay a tax to the government. Now, that's just how I would see it. But worst case scenario, I would make sure that we would at least stop locking people in a cage. But I would do that day one. I wouldn't have to have a bill to do that. As governor, I would make sure that anybody that got arrested for a nonviolent victimless drug crime was pardoned immediately. So day one, I would end the war on drugs.
No, that's pretty bold. It's a pretty bold platform. And I definitely agree too, because I believe in stopping the war on drugs. I think it's definitely caused more harm than good. I mean, I don't even think of anything that's good about the so-called war on drugs. I mean, can you think of anything positive? I mean,
No. Matter of fact, I think it's just made things worse, and we're only putting people at risk, including police officers and people that have to go through and do a SWAT raid or any of that. They're risking their lives too, and so it's just not cool at all, and we need to stop all that. It's a waste of money, a waste of time, a waste of life. It's just not good energy, and we need to stop doing that.
yeah, it's ridiculous, the prison sentences for something like that. Just having a certain amount of marijuana or whatever is gonna have you locked in a cage for who knows how long. Just you didn't do anything to hurt anybody. Just because you have a plant that's not wanted or whatever, you're gonna go to jail for how long? 20 years, 30 years, something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's wild. One of the things that I like yelling when we're out there on the street doing activism is stop locking people in a cage for a plant. I mean, it's that simple. It's just a plant.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about your overall platform, not just with cannabis, but your overall platform. When you do become governor of Texas, what are some other things that you want to see in terms of any changes? Because we both, I think all three of us agree that we don't want Greg Abbott, the governor, anymore. So what's your overall platform and some other, repeating myself, but, other changes that you want to see in Texas that, would benefit?
Well, I would like to see a lot of things be privatized and bring things back down to the local community level and make things more voluntary actions rather than by force and having the government intervene with our daily lives. I mean, us three right here, we made a voluntary interaction to meet on Google Hangouts here at 9 o'clock, and I don't see why government should be involved in that. And those interactions are like every other day action. I can go down to the liquor store and buy some Jameson. If I want to do that at 9 a.m. or 2 a.m., I should be allowed to do that if the business is selling it. I just want everything to be voluntary. I don't think that we need government coming into our life, being our daddy and telling us what we do and how to live our life and stuff like that. So however way that I can do that, I'm going to do that in the best way possible. And I want to try to achieve the greatest amount of results in the quickest way possible.
That's a good answer. Anything that Governor Abbott's doing that is, I get maybe a hard question for you to answer, but is there anything about him that you respect in terms of what he's been, what he's done?
Well, he passed a really good, or signed a really good knife bill. Now here in Texas, we, you don't have as many restrictions on the blade length, or if you want to carry a sword or stuff like that. So
you can open carry with swords now.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small freedom that we gained, but I thought that was, I thought that was interesting. But there's not a lot of good coming out of Greg Abbott. He is one of the main reasons why cannabis is still basically Class B, Class A misdemeanor, sometimes a felony, depending on what the case may be. But the pharmaceutical companies really love Greg Abbott, and Greg Abbott loves them, and that kind of disgusts me. They are doing a lot of harm to our people, and I don't like that at all. So not much good that I can say, but if I had to say something, it would be that he signed a legislation for the knife bill.
Well, that's good. At least I know I can
carry a sword.
Carry a sword, yeah. Carry a sword on my back. So thanks, Mr. Abbott. Appreciate it. So there's a question here on the chat that is actually talking about just polling. What percentage of polling does a candidate have to get to be on stage in debates for governor of Texas?
Well, I don't think there's really amount of polling or anything like that. That's kind of interesting. Great question, by the way, whoever asked that. I would say that, when the debates come around, we're going to hammer them and let them know that there is a third candidate, and there's a good chance that our message reaches all across to all demographics, so we could be polling very well. But the first thing I have to do is win the nomination at the convention during the Libertarian Convention in the spring. So March 13th, March 17th, we have a precinct convention and then county conventions, and then we go to our state convention in April. And that's where I'll win the nomination and be on the ballot against Greg Abbott. And then that's when we'll start asking for those debates and setting it up. So that's going to be pretty fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, I would definitely like to, because I don't know. I don't think, like you were saying, I think he's not a good debater. I don't think so. I think me personally, I think you do a great job if you're going against him. I don't know who would be running on the Democrat side, and I really don't care. But I think both Republicans and Democrats are just two heads, same snake, as they say, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So kind of when you're talking about your open carry, it's just because you see those signs on doors that say, "Oh, you can have a weapon here," And if I'm a criminal who's looking to shoot up a place and I see a sign on a door that says you can't have a gun, well, I guess I got to go home now, that kind of thing. So
it doesn't do
anything. It's so stupid. I don't even know why people think that's gonna shoo off criminals, or whatever, when they see that. So I'm gonna guess that your open carry is literally just, I can carry a gun whenever, wherever, anything like that. I'm correct, right?
Yes, you're absolutely correct, and I don't believe in any law, rule, or regulation whatsoever on how you want to defend yourself. So, and you're right. Those signs don't make sense. They actually do the opposite, because if the sign is up, the people who want to do harm know that place probably has a less likely chance of anybody, having the same amount of force or something close to it. And that's what criminals look for, because they're cowards. They don't want anybody to have something equal to or greater than. They want to prey on the weak.
Yeah, for sure. Good answer. One of them.
Someone in the chat wants to know what your opinion on net neutrality is and the repeal of net.
I think our net freedom is very behind. I think that the internet needs to be opened up to more freedoms than we have, and the government needs to stop restricting stuff, trying to stop coming up with excuses on why they need to monitor our internet and regulate it more. So I'm for more internet freedom. We actually don't see a lot of the internet that could be.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a ridiculous argument when they say, well, because of net neutrality, we've had all these innovations, whatever. So, well, what about everything before that?
Yeah, we've only had it for what, like a couple of years?
Yeah.
And they act like, I don't know, they act like everything's going to go to hell after net neutrality is repealed.
Yeah.
Well, it was repealed, right? So. Yeah,
basically, yeah. And I just think it just opens up more competition when that goes away, because like you were saying, more internet freedom. You can do, you have all these freedoms to do whatever you want on the internet, or if like, there's Spectrum or whatever, a company that's there, you want to open up your own company because you feel like Spectrum's not good enough. Well, then here's another business for you to have. Okay, well, I have another choice now. And who knows that, net neutrality, you may not have, you may not have that freedom to do that with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
We have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Bring them on.
Wants to know in the chat, what is your stance on abortions? Does the NAP apply to the unborn?
So this is a great question when it comes to abortion, because a lot of people think that libertarians are generally pro-choice and they back abortion. So and let me just tell you this: there's a lot of pro-life libertarians. I am one of those pro-life libertarians personally. Okay, I do not like abortion. Okay, however, I think the worst thing that we can do is involve the government in that action. So I think that needs to be brought down to a community level. The people in that community need to decide something. I don't think people in Washington need to be telling people in Fort Worth what to do, and I don't think people in Austin need to be telling people in Fort Worth and vice versa what to do. It needs to be a local community thing. I think we need to come up with solutions that don't require force, and we need to be more educated about sex and protecting and bringing this stuff up to our kids and having open conversations. And I also think that adoption right now is extremely hard here in the United States, and I think we could start peeling back on laws, rules, and regulations when it comes to adoption and make that easier for people to adopt. Right now, a lot of people who live in the States are actually adopt from another country because it's less regulated, it's more available, it's faster, it's
really?
It's better to do. Yes, if you're trying to adopt, I mean, the best thing that you would want to do is try to do it from another country, because it's just easier, more affordable, and you don't have to deal with a bunch of bull crap from our own government. And I think adoption plays a huge role in helping out with that as well. So me, myself, I do not like abortion. However, I think the worst thing that we can do is get the government involved in those decisions.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, you're right.
Less government is better.
Yeah, a lot of pro-life libertarians. Yeah.
And so some people would actually claim that with me saying that would make me pro-choice, because I'm allowing people to choose freely what they want to do. But me personally, I wouldn't go through with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Basically our stance too.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Someone else in the chat wants to know what your opinion of the EU is.
European
Union.
You know,
European
I don't. I think with anything outside of our, state or country or anything, that we should be open to, talk to people and trade and barter. I don't like enemies, and I don't like playing favorites. I just like being open and fair and communicating, and sending good energy and good vibration, and making peace. So I don't really like, I don't like playing favorites and doing business with people and making promises.
Okay. So another question from the Trigger, who actually is the one that asked the first question from the chat. And yes, again, what do you think of the DOE? And I'm guessing you're talking about the Department of Education. All the way around 1982, and all the other departments of government we could do without.
Yeah, on education, me personally, I like to homeschool. I like when I hear people who homeschool and who are unschooling. I think those are awesome things to do. I'd like to see education completely privatized, and allow the parents to choose freely if they want to pay for an education here or education there, or if they just want to do it themselves. I think the government needs to get out of education completely. End it.
Chop his head off. Is there any and this probably goes completely against libertarianism and anarcho-capitalism, whatever. Is there any department of any government department that you feel is, I wouldn't say like a mandatory thing, but definitely maybe it could be valid or it could be necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, not at all. And let me tell you something. A lot of people think that if government didn't exist, that there wouldn't be some kind of leadership and organization for people to look up to and to have these things. And actually we would. And with that, we would get results quicker, better, and we could, if somebody was giving false information or stealing or doing these things that government's known to do, in a free market society, we could change people who we look up to and who we call community leaders very quickly on a faster pace. So right now, when we find out that politicians are liars, thieves, and they steal and stuff, well, it takes 2 to 4, 6, sometimes 8 years to get these people out. Sometimes they're still in Congress 30 years later. I mean, look at Joe Barton. That crooked guy was in there for like 30-something years. But that wouldn't exist in a free market society where people could truly choose freely who they want to associate with and who they want to do business with and money and stuff like that. So in a voluntary society, we would still have those leaders that we look up to in the community when things happen. Yeah, yes, nothing's going to be perfect. That's obvious. But when things happen, when bad things happen, or when negative energy comes, whatever that may happen, we can fix those problems a lot faster through our local community and our local community leaders. So I think that kind of, in a sense, the structure and organization would still be there, and we could make change quicker and improve things, and innovation and creation would just be awesome, and our pocketbook would just be so much damn fatter. I mean, think about how much the government steals from us. It's crazy. We literally pay like more than half of the money that we make. We have to pay it into some kind of tax, fee, license, something.
Yep.
Something.
Yeah, and I'm sure you firsthand, the construction in Texas is really slow, So
well, a lot of people don't know this, but actually one of the greatest things that government loves taxing people is on road construction. And that is a tax. It's a never-ending tax, and that's why they're always constructing the road, is because they want that money for the roads.
Yeah, I feel like even in the Dallas area, I feel like the roads are always under construction. Like there's literally always a road under construction here that doesn't need to be. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. It's not good.
Yeah, it's
especially 35. 35 is always under. It's been under construction for like 10 years.
It's been in construction since I've been alive, since '83.
Yeah, basically. There's another question in there.
There's a couple other questions. There's
Okay.
that one and that one.
Oh, go ahead. You can ask me.
Someone wants to know what your opinion on healthcare is.
Well, I believe that if you want to seek some kind of health care, and you should be able to choose whatever doctor you want, and the doctor and you should mutually agree on whatever treatment or payment that you might want. So I think the government needs to be completely out of that. It should be up to you and your doctor. You know, if the doctor wants to prescribe you cannabis or something else, or something holistic, I don't, anything. It's between you and your doctor.
What do you think about, I guess a lot of the problems with private insurance right now are due to government regulation like Medicaid and Medicare. So do you think eliminating those programs would solve most of the issues with insurance, or do you think it would be better if insurance was eliminated?
I think if the government got out of insurance, and I think this goes for car insurance too. No, I don't think, I know. If the government gets out, the laws, rules, and regulations go away, the competition goes up, the prices go down, more people buy into it. So the government goes away, more people can afford it, and more people will have it. And that goes for health insurance, and that goes for car insurance as well.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to ask this one.
Yeah, I'll ask there's another question here asking, do you think with the innovation of online education that brick and mortar schools will someday be obsolete?
I think that we have not got to online schools because the government wants us to keep going to these concrete indoctrination centers and getting the education there. They don't want these kids at home, thinking freely throughout the day. They don't want that. So I would like us to have some kind of education online course. That would be amazing. There's probably things that I hadn't even thought of that we could do with online courses, and having a class with even a teacher and a couple students on a Google conference. It is crazy what you could think of that would come out of allowing that to happen. So I don't know why we haven't got there yet. I really don't. My kids learn most of their stuff online, and so I just don't get it. We're in the year 2018.
They're kind of going addition with the healthcare. They're asking about was it autism?
Treatment of ADHD,
autism.
Yeah.
How would that be treated if government is out of healthcare completely?
Well, I actually think if they were out of healthcare completely, that the rate of autism would go down. I think they're the reason for it being so high. And I think that we could actually learn more about it, learn out more facts and more truths, and start going backwards. Because right now we're going at a rate that's in the wrong direction when it comes to that. So we need to find out what's going on, get to the bottom of it, and make sure it goes the other way. And I think getting government out of it is a start.
All right. So kind of going away from, serious questions, I want to ask a couple of softballs.
Oh no, what's it going to be?
So it pertains to libertarianism. And I wanted to ask who your favorite libertarian scholar or philosopher is.
Well, I don't know if you would consider him a libertarian. I mean, he's ran as a president for the Libertarian Party, but you know, Ron Paul kind of brought me into all this, so I would have to go with that guy right there. He's kind of the reason why I have gotten to where I'm gotten as far as he showed me kind of what true freedom was and how crooked the government was and kind of how they worked. So he sent me down a pretty deep rabbit hole. So I'd have to give him a lot of props.
Yeah, I see the Fed behind you there.
Yeah, I got In the Fed. I got Liberty Defined.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I was a delegate for Ron Paul. Me and my wife ate some lunch with him, and Carol Paul. You know, I chit chat with her a couple times on the internet and Facebook Messenger. So I love the Pauls, and I love them.
Yeah, they're definitely yeah, for me for sure, because I know every single person that that I admire that's in the libertarian movement, they always
say Ron Paul is their inspiration.
yeah, he's always up there for sure.
Isn't it crazy how many people one man inspired? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's a shame that he didn't become president, because I mean, and I'm sure everyone else would agree who supports him, loves him, would say that if he was president, at least for 4 years, we would definitely nowhere near the problems we'd be in right now.
Yeah.
That sadly, I don't. I mean, he got cheated so bad, but I think if he did get to be the president, his life would be at risk. Very much so. I hope he would have gave it one more chance, but I think he was ready to wind down and maybe enjoy some time with his family. But he gave it a good run, and he inspired a ton of people. So I think he started a Ron Paul revolution, if you will.
Yeah, and he has the Ron Paul Liberty Report, excuse me, that he does on YouTube and all that. Yeah. So he keeps the liberty message going for sure. What do you think about Rand Paul and his? I mean, obviously it didn't work out because Donald Trump's a president right now, but his presidential run, this recent campaign, I guess you would say was a disappointment. I think
right.
They'd say it as about as lightly as you can.
Well, I like that. I would have liked to have seen him be president more so than Donald Trump. I'm not saying that I like Donald Trump. I'm just saying I would have rather had Rand Paul for sure. But he's definitely not like his father. Maybe he just has a different strategy about what he's doing. I don't know. But it would have been nice to see the message go a little bit further than it did.
Yeah. I want to ask about Trump, because his name comes up every single second of our lives now, and I wanted to ask you because obviously he's not Hillary, and I think if Hillary was president, we'd be in much worse shape than right now. I mean, I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
Hillary is just, I don't know, evil, I guess, is the easiest term I can think of in terms of to describe her. She's evil. Donald Trump is like 5 notches down from her evil. But is there anything that he's done so far that you know of that gives you maybe a glimmer of hope that there could be a possible even bigger libertarianism movement than when Ron Paul has a revolution going?
The only thing that I think could be positive out of it is just seeing that more people are tired of the same bullshit and the same message, and they want something bold. I don't think he is as bold as what he says he is. I think that might be a little bit of show, and I think the powers to be kind of understand where our mindset of people are and how tired they are of the same bull crap. And that they have smartened up and they have put people onto the forefront to make them look like people who they may not be. And I think that's what maybe Donald Trump might be. So I think there's a lot of talking, but behind the scenes, it's just the same bull crap. So I haven't really seen, I haven't really seen too much, other than it's good to see that people are tired of the same politically correct crap, and I think a lot of people like that about my campaign is that I've just been saying what I feel. I don't even do any speeches. I don't write stuff down. I just whatever I feel, I say, and it's the truth. And if people like it, it's awesome. If people don't, that's their choice. But for the most part, people love it because it's what they want to hear. And I think Trump does a good job at being bold as well. But I don't think behind the scenes his bold talking, doing the walking behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you're saying, to just speak hard or whatever, then have a piece of paper, what do they call them?
Teleprompter.
Yeah, a teleprompter telling them what to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are also tired of like establishment figures. They're tired of the same stuff over and over again. So he's like an outsider. Even though he kind of ended up doing a lot of the same stuff, especially with foreign policy, but he campaigned on like no wars.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy because his campaign, he was saying, we're wasting all this money on, the wars over there and all this other, government stuff and, blah, blah, blah. And then you see what he's doing now as president, and it's just, business as usual.
Business as usual. How come Hillary's not in jail? Where's that wall Mexico was?
I know, right?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I remember that too when they were asking him about that, and he was like, "Oh, Hillary's been through enough." No, put her in jail. You said.
Yeah.
Why is the government still on my health care?
Yeah, exactly. So the last thing that we can ask about going about an hour, then we can let you go. Why do you think whenever people think of libertarians, they automatically think that you just smoke weed and you hate roads?
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot? I'm sure you do.
I smoke weed and I do hate roads. That's funny. No, but I think that's because what the media and people and what people read into is misinformation, and they don't actually go and open their mind and maybe look into things and ask questions and kind of seek out really what libertarianism truly is. Because I actually believe, people are really libertarian. They just want to do their own thing, go about their daily business and have their freedom, do what they want to do. And people don't want to really harm people. People don't want to steal people's things. People want to be left alone and go about their business. And that's pretty much simply what libertarianism is just allow me to have your freedom. I'll allow you to have yours, and we're cool and everything's peaceful, And I think, people get told that libertarianism is allowing a 5-year-old with an AK-47 to do cocaine and walk across the border. I mean, and they blow it up to something crazy like that. Come on, man.
They assume that if libertarians, if everybody was libertarian, that things would just go out of control. But they don't realize that. I don't think that human nature would go that way. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that would.
How's the government going right now? I'm pretty sure things are out of control right now.
Yeah.
I think that we could try to do something different, because if we continue to do the same thing, we're only going to get the same results. And a lot of people think that, libertarianism is too much freedom. Okay, if that's the case, let's at least get on the libertarian train and we'll go down the freedom way. And once you've had too much freedom, once you can't take any more freedom, you've just had too much damn freedom, you just get off the train and this motherfucker will keep going. Because I have
Oh my God, I can only have 3 instead of 4? Oh, that's just terrible.
Yeah, get off the freedom train.
Yeah. So yeah, this was great. Thanks again for joining the live stream with us. And again, I apologize for all the because we scheduled it before,
And the
but
technical issues
yeah,
and stuff.
and all that stuff. But
It worked out great.
yeah. So before we let you go, is there any, go ahead and plug everything so that they know who you are and
Where to find you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for my campaign, you can check me out. I don't know if you can see that or not, but Kory Watkins for Texas.com is my campaign website. They have a store on there. We have t-shirts, campaign chillums, all kinds of good stuff. You can go to the Facebook page and follow me there as well. I'm pretty active on social media. So Kory Watkins for Texas.com. The big thing that we need right now is delegates. So if you want to support the campaign and you're in Texas, ask me how to be a delegate. It's a very simple process. We'll give you the information for it, and that's how I get on the ballot against Greg Abbott, and then it's all go from there. And then, of course, the other thing that we're doing is the Cannabis Open Carry Walks, and you can just go to Cannabis Open Carry Walk on Facebook and find out the information there. And I'm just urging people to get involved, whether it's this cannabis thing or not. If cannabis ain't your thing, get involved in something else and just concentrate on that and take action. And let's create some change here in Texas. And if anybody wants to reach out to me to get involved, please do so. I'm not hard to get a hold of, and I'm not shy, and I'm pretty good about responding. So I want to thank you guys for putting me on here and allowing me to spread this message through your Twitter and you guys' YouTube channels and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. I remember meeting y'all for the first time. I'm glad that we're networking and communicating again. That's what it's all about, is building these relationships and spreading this message. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no problem. I also know for sure, I almost forgot that you give cryptocurrency advice, about Bitcoin.
Yeah, you do. And that's kind of how we got into it, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry that I put you into that. No, but I was trying to do that a little bit more, but I've just gotten so wrapped up in the campaign and the cannabis carry thing. I've just been literally checking it like once a day now. But I would say right now is kind of the time to buy. It's still higher than what it was 4 or 5 months ago, but it's down from its all-time high. So.
True.
Yeah. So there's everybody's cryptocurrency advice. It's a good time to buy because it's going down. It's going to go back up. I guarantee it.
Yep. It
it'll definitely go back up. It's going through some growing pains and people buying in and getting out, but it's going to be there for the long run. And a lot of people got to understand cryptocurrency doesn't just do with Bitcoin. It's not just one thing. There's all kinds of cryptocurrencies that you can get involved in. Steam It is another really good one. Like people who don't like Facebook, like myself, I recommend you get on Steam It. They actually reward you for your content. I would recommend you guys get on Steam It too. If you're social media active and you have shows and you write blogs or articles, they actually reward you and pay you for your content. So check out Steam It.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, sure.
This is the first time I've heard of that. So.
Yeah, well, I've heard of it, but I hadn't really looked into it. But yeah, I didn't know they actually pay for your content. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, Kory, thanks again for joining us, and we'll definitely see you this
upcoming. See you next Saturday.
Yeah, it's upcoming Saturday.
Awesome. Let's free the weed in Texas, guys.
Yeah. All righty. Have a good night, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.